Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. Got a big show lined up, but first our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. High of 87, low of 67. Water temperature, believe it or not, it jumped up a couple of degrees. It's 79 degrees. So that's interesting. I was thinking about it, what that will do, as the fish are migrating, they're going to hit some warm water, so maybe they'll just stick around here for the weekend and for a couple of days anyways. That's my theory on it. It makes a lot of sense because that's what makes them migrate is the water temperature changing and the shorter days, okay? Let's take a look at our river readings brought to us by Watson's Landing Marina and Dry Storage. The Apalachicola Bluntstown, 0.7, and the Choctaw at Caryville, 1.8. Now, I haven't gotten any reports. Every time I look at Apalachicola this time of year, the river, I think about Ray Howell and all those boys up there floundering, and they try to keep it a secret. It's like a Fort Knox. You just can't get up there as far as those boys talking about floundering. But I know Ray Howell, y'all been getting some flounders. So call me and let me know what y'all doing. I promise I won't tell anybody except just people on Panhandle Outdoors. All right. Now let's go to the tide chart. Kent Forest Lawn and Funeral Home and Cemetery. The tide chart is Thursday, October the 20th. They're looking on that day. Great tides, really good tides today, tomorrow, and weekend. Really good tides on up through Monday, and then next week it starts tapering off to some neap tides. And this is an excellent time to go. This is going to be one of the best weekends of the year to go fishing, I promise you. So make sure you get some plans to do something either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, Monday, and get out there. I know a lot of y'all get off on Mondays. Marine forecast, we're looking at, let's see. I didn't give the time on 12:32 a.m. was the high tide, okay, and it's going to be low at 11:46. So that's the big thing about it. It's that midday to midnight right in there. So you got that strong income and a strong outgoing, okay. And the marine forecast is northeast. This is interesting. Now I had to write this down. It's going to start off tonight at around northeast at about 5 to 10. And then in the morning, it's going to switch over to the east, okay, and then the southwest. It's going to swing around in a 24-hour period. It's going to make the whole gamut. So it's going to end up after lunch coming out of southwest at about 5 to 6. So not really strong winds, but it is sort of changing directions on you. Now, we've had some calm days. I know some of y'all have sent some pictures in. It's been calm in the morning. Little bit of breeze. I watched it bay. I've been able to watch it bay. It's just hardly any ripple on the bay all day long. So it's been fascinating. It's really been some great fall weather, but it's still dry. Okay, let's take our break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's get into some pictures now. I don't show a lot of family stuff. Well, I do, I guess, but this past weekend, little Whitney had her birthday party, folks. Whitney turned 16 years old, so we surprised her. We drove up there. The only person knew we were coming was Wendy. We got up there about 8 o'clock at night, and she was so excited. She cried and she hugged us. But we had a great weekend up there. Here's a picture of all of the kids and all, and this was at Mason's cross country meet over in Nashville. They're about 45 miles out, about 45 minutes really outside of Nashville. Mason ran cross country, and that's Ashley and Gail, and we just had a great time over there. So I told Jeff and everybody, I've had like 4 consecutive weekends where I've had 4 and 5 day weekends where I've traveled. I've been to Tennessee, Louisiana, Lakeland, and Tennessee, all in that order. It's been amazing as far as the miles we put on, but I'm ready to go fishing now, and we're going to do some serious fishing. Speaking of serious fishing, I saw a serious fisherman just walk in, Big Bill Allen. So we're going to show some pictures, and I'm going to have Bill come on here. We're going to talk about fishing, okay? But here, let's go look at a couple of these pictures. When you clean a flounder, well, let's do. I got an announcement first. Let's look at this announcement. This coming Monday night, the Bay County Historical Society will have a guest speaker right here, October 24th. Check this out. This is going to be right here, October 24th, boat building. I'll be addressing the Historical Society on the history and the heritage of boat building here in the St. Andrew Bay system. It's a fascinating history. It's almost been a forgotten history, and I covered a lot of it in my book. And I guess by doing that, they've called me the resident expert in the history of the boat building. Fascinating history, some great stories in there. So I will be telling, and it's open, and you're welcome to come to it. We'd love to have you come down, and I'll give you time. I think it's going to be like 6:30, 7 o'clock this coming Monday night. Looking forward to it. Really good group of people who want to preserve and pass on the heritage of our local history, the things that happened here. Okay. Now, when you clean a flounder, this is how you're supposed to clean a flounder. If you can read a newspaper through it, this is how it looks. This is how Bill Allen cleans his. All right, let's move on. This is Bubba Lee. I just want to show this. They're catching a lot of sailfish, folks. It's fascinating. It's not a big one, but that's a lot of fun for a young man. He's down from Kentucky, and what a thrill it is. Great picture, and caught and released it. Okay, and floundering. Brian and Nikki Richardson up there in Southport, they were floundering right after the full moon. Some nice flounder there. That's a 21. They got that one on the ruler. That's right at 21 inches, that big one. So good looking flounder. And this was, we just had that full moon, and I had some folks that did a good job. Well, I said go buy a Christmas tree and a tree stand. And now she looks all mad for some reason. All right, that's what I thought she meant when she said tree stand. That's how a man's mind works, outdoor man's mind. That's how it works. Pompano, Michael Clark sent this in. Now, I don't know. I really don't think this is a big pompano. I think Michael's tricking us. He's holding up there close to the camera, and it's a nice pompano. They're all at the pier now. I talked to, I called the pier last night. I got a report, and what they're doing, they're catching. I'm going to give a full report on tomorrow's show, but they're catching some really a lot of fish, a lot of Spanish they're being caught. But they were telling me the pompano is not real big. They've caught some, but there's not a lot of big pompano, which is sort of strange this time of year. But I'm just going to go ahead and pass that on to you. Also just got off the phone before we came on air, talked to Sea Quarters Marina. They're having a good week down there. It's a little windy offshore if you go out a little bit far because, we had the wind just keeps building up. Inshore been excellent trout and redfish, and he said up the river they can't keep the earthworms and crickets in there at Sea Quarters Marina. Folks just coming in there and headed up the river and catching some really good brim and shellcracker and bass up in that Carabel River. So that's a report from over there, and we'll talk more about it in detail tomorrow, and also talk about a pier report tomorrow. But there was a pompano. I don't know how big that one is, but I think Michael was just holding it close to the camera. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I love when something like this happens spontaneously. Bill just walked in and he thought he was going to stay behind the camera.
I just came to say hello, see how the pros do it. And I wound up on this side of the table.
Okay, we got a lot to talk about. Really, with me being gone, the last 3 or 4 weeks, we hadn't had much time to talk and everything.
No kidding.
And I know you went on your fly fishing trip.
Yeah.
Tell us quick about that and how that went.
It was great, and even in the mountains, it's 5, 6, 8 degrees warmer than it normally would be, but it's still fantastic. Water was lower than I've ever seen it. I mean, it's just like here. And you've been, there were stretches of the creek where my son and I would have to maybe walk 15 or 20 yards to find a little run or enough water to fish in. It was amazing. It was tough. The water was very clear, but we wound up, through perseverance, catching some nice fish. But we were very encouraged at the number of rainbows that we caught were like 5 or 6 inches because they don't stock those fish.
That's natural.
So that creek, Snowbird, that still produces fish. Other than stockfish. So that was very encouraging for our spring trip that now you're retired.
Okay, I'm going to write down the date.
Schedule somewhere.
What's the date?
I don't know. Dalton's working on it now.
Okay.
But, yeah.
We're going to go to that one. And I've been that one time. It's beautiful up there. And that's you still have some folks up there and all. Your cousin said as low as he's ever seen, right?
Yeah, and he's fished that literally since he was 7 years old. So
wow.
he knows.
Yeah, but like I said, it has a natural stream, a natural look to it. So.
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's just so gorgeous up there.
And then yesterday, Jeff and I went over to Greg Brudnicka's house and interviewed his dad, Mike Brudnicka. We're starting to put together a Veterans Day show, and Mike was a World War II veteran who got his story, an amazing story.
I've heard it many times.
Yeah, and we're going to do that for Veterans Day, even though a couple weeks away we've already started on it. I think y'all will really appreciate it. So Greg and I were talking, and he said y'all had a good fishing trip the other day.
Yeah, in fact, we took Mike on Saturday.
Yeah.
Took his dad, who's 91.
Well, he'll be 91 on Christmas Day.
Still loves to fish more than anybody that I've ever seen.
He's still out.
And he was the first one that put a pompano in the boat the other day. And it was rough. We had that big east wind, on Saturday to come out of there. I mean, it got kind of right, but he was the first one to put a pompano in. So yeah,
that's amazing. The old pro.
Oh,
you can seriously, you just say fish around him, and you really do see a sparkle in his eyes. He loves it.
And Greg is, he's my good friend, but I'm gonna tell you something. He takes him as much as he possibly can, and he even got another boat that had some seats in it, so it'd be easier for him to, his leg's not good.
Well, what was amazing, and I've observed this, as you have well observed it more than I have. The time that Greg Brudnicki spends with his dad is, to me, an American classic. At the age,
really is.
With him being 91 years old, I was thinking yesterday driving back from his house. My dad, there's 2 years difference between my dad and Greg's dad. My dad last week would have been 10 years since he's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost got choked up. Man, I wish I could fish with my dad.
Well, it's the same thing.
He does.
My dad was a World War II vet, and he's been gone like 12 years. Mm-hmm. But like back when Greg and I were playing Little League together. Now Greg's is still quite a bit older than me, but we're on the same team. But that's when we got to know the Brudnickis, and Mike and my dad, had a lot in common fishing wise. And in fact, he told him about Lake Santitla up there, the big lake that the creek runs into. And the Brudnicki family, when they were small, they would make several trips up there, for like a week's vacation, and fish that area. But the whole family just loves to fish and eat them.
Yeah. So if a lot of you guys out there, we would take it for granted when they're here and all, but Greg doesn't take it for granted. Every week he's taking his dad out there and spending a lot of quality time with him. So
he does.
If your dad's still around or something, I don't know where he is, or if he's still living and still able to go fishing or something, take advantage of it and go do it.
Yeah.
And,
Greg works like a deckhand, a busy deckhand when we're out there, but it's all worth it. It's a blast. He loves to fish. He absolutely loves to fish.
And what a fascinating story of World War II and how, how many on Iwo Jima, how they went on Iwo Jima. And before that, and when he grew up in Chicago and how poor they were. They just didn't have
to hear the story, it's really an American story of immigrants coming over. Greg's grandmother, she started, and I can't tell it correctly, but she did sewing and she did other things, and she wound up owning the building that they lived in before it was over with. I don't get it all straight, but it's an amazing story about how it happened.
It is, and Greg added something to it, and Jeff's going to be working on putting it together and all, but they came over, from Poland and Russia and that area, and just worked hard, and just and learned to speak the English language, and it was an amazing story. And the saddest thing, his dad died. Mike's dad, which had been Greg's granddad, died at a young age, and she had like five or six kids. Seven kids, and she raised them as a single mom.
I think that Mr. Brudnicki was 6 when he passed away, and his father was actually a Cossack.
I did not know that. Russia,
he was, that was a pretty tough guy.
So fascinating story, and then how it blended down here, ended up down here and all. But anyway, be sure and tune in on Veterans Day, and we'll have that story for you. And it's really heartwarming to do that. We're going to take a quick break and come back and we'll talk some more fishing and also about archery season coming up this weekend. Okay, welcome back. Here with Bill Allen, who just popped in the door, and we set him down here. We got one of these spontaneous shows, and these kind I really love to do. I had all kinds of stuff planned for you, but we put that on Plan B. We're on Plan A right now. Fishing game times today, we're looking at 4:31 to 6:31 this morning, and this evening from exactly 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Also wrote down a warning. A lot of jellyfish out in the water now. If you're going out swimming with kids and all, be aware this weekend. A lot of jellyfish all along the coast from the beach down to the Cape.
The big red variety that will absolutely put it on you.
Yeah.
So these paddle boarders, you know, and things like that are out there, pay attention. I mean, it's stirred up and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were off the island. It was covered up.
See them
covered up,
yeah. All right, we got to archery season this weekend. And
That's right.
And you're headed out with a crossbow.
And suntan lotion.
And suntan lotion. Listen, I brought my old bow, and you got a kick out too, but I brought it just to commemorate the opening of archery season. I'm going to try to pompano fish this weekend, and I used to archery hunt a lot. You and I did it back in really very early years, and you had a bow like this, didn't you?
That's a bear Kodiak, and I had a bear grizzly was my first recurve, which is very similar bow.
And we got them from the same place.
Everybody got them from the same place.
One place to get them from.
C&G was absolutely the hunting and archery, and diving.
Yeah.
Robert Gustafson and I worked in the dive shop back then, going to school and set up many bows. But I love those. I've still got it.
Yeah, I still have mine. Ironically, there's a group of people now going back to recurves.
There are.
And of course, they're made a lot better. I want to say better. These are well made, but they're just stronger than these. But I'm tempted to go back and hunt with this some, but I loved it.
If I had the shoulder for it, I would. Yeah. But I had to go to a crossbow, which I love. Yeah. But it's kind of cheating. But I love it if I could, and that's what I try to encourage. Like my sons when they started, and other people. There's no sights on this bow. You had to learn your bow and learn how to shoot it.
Well, Bill, that's what appealed to me when it came out. The just primitive, outdoor nature of the original bow. And then I think what really sort of one of the things that turned me off from hunting, they started coming out with sights, and then started coming out with little cables and all kinds. And I love this. I just instinctive shooting and just
Absolutely.
I got good. I could hit a squirrel on the top of a pine tree in a
heartbeat.
First
one I ever killed was with a recurve.
And it just takes time to do it and all. But the recurve bow, and Fred Bear, when he invented the laminated bow, he really did. And the story, if you read his life story and all, I've read a couple of books on Fred. He right here when he laminated these limbs.
Yeah.
And but he couldn't. He had to put them in his wife's oven and all to heat it and everything.
It's an amazing story.
And it kept breaking, and he finally got it where it would stay. But that's what gave it power.
Yeah. There's a book called Fred Bear's Field Notes.
Yeah.
And you want to learn a lot about hunting. I mean, it's bow hunting. That's a great book to get. And he talks about walking through the woods. He just a lot of things on there. But yeah, he was a great guy. Loved it, and an outstanding shot.
He was amazing. There all kind of pictures of him. All just what an outdoorsman. All right, now let's jump up to modern day. This weekend, you got some deer on the camera and all that.
Yeah, well? we work it all year long. Keeping things going. But we back, I guess a month or so ago, 2 months ago, we went through, pulled all the cameras, changed all the batteries, cleaned up all the discs. And I'm talking about Dalton when I do this, but. Changed the batteries in the feeders, cleaned out the feeders and everything, put new corn in. But yeah, we're getting same old thing, man. We got some nice bucks up there on that property, and they're coming out at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah.
But we've got a pretty good rack of does that are moving around. So yeah, for me, it can always be a little cooler, but
Well, it's going to cool off some this weekend, or say.
It is supposed to cool off. But it goes without saying, all you guys that are hunting, you know this already. You need to. There's snakes.
Yeah.
They're above ground and they're active before it gets cold. And
I'll always check out your tree stand before you sit down.
My favorite. Oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Have you been practicing any?
As a matter of fact, Sunday afternoon, the boys and I got together and we shot for a couple hours, and just tuning things up and. That kind of thing. It's even with these and everything else, you got to keep the strings waxed, You know, put a little drop of oil on
Yeah.
those on the, you know, the clips on the crossbows and the compound bows. You know, just a little maintenance. And inspect the limbs.
For
I
sure.
can't tell you how many times back, you know, when I was at C&G, back when we were going to school, you know, these people would leave them outside or they whatever, and it's wood, you know, and even the laminates, you start getting cracks or separations in that. That's a dangerous thing when those limbs go. So really inspect the limbs, whether it's a crossbow, whether it's a compound, you know, or a recurve. But you know, there are a whole bunch of people that have really started a craze with just shooting longbows again.
I know. The
Now,
longbow,
you got to be a man to shoot a longbow.
And
Many times.
And there's some guys that actually make the longbows.
Oh, it's
It's really, really fascinating to see. So archery is a wonderful sport. Okay, so even just get in the backyard and target practice.
Oh, sure.
And when I taught it in class, I've told y'all over and over again how much these seniors, and 95% of them never shot, how much they enjoy doing it. They just can't. I mean, they're giggling and can't wait to get out there and shoot, and you know, out of balloon or whatever. So it's fun to do. And the modern bows are easier to shoot. So you know, they make some really nice bows now.
Yeah, and if you go to a place like C&G where they can set up a bow for your draw length, they can help you with the pins on there. You know, getting a bow set up properly in the beginning, it makes life a whole lot easier trying to learn how to shoot one.
And you can do it in the backyard if you don't have any backyard neighbors also. But the Bay County shooting range, I hear they're starting to go. They got plans now for archery range out there. So
you know, they've done
awesome.
an amazing job. Bill and I were talking about that. Dalton and I took his 270 and my 308 out there, and just to get those sighted in. But they've got a sporting clays range out there now. They were in the process of building a 5-stand. They have supplies. They got a real nice setup out there now.
And like I said, archery range, you know, that's not going to be hard to set up. So they just going to, it's going to be all spread out, and it's going to be like a one-stop shopping, one-stop shooting. You go shoot your bow, you can shoot your shotgun, and shoot your rifle all at one spot.
And pistol.
And
You just take 'em all.
definitely pistol. We got time flew by. Thank you, buddy.
Oh,
glad
you're
you
welcome.
came by.
Well,
all right, we'll do the day show tomorrow, okay? All right, we'll see y'all. Do something good for fellow man. Have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.